few issues on ICC TV. Please bear with us. It's a Monday morning. It's very rural here, isn't it? Can you give people a sense of the location?
Quite far north of the city of Toronto, downtown Toronto. And it's a little less rural than it was 2 years ago, Lenny. There is a lot more residential growth happening now. We're starting to see a lot more houses being built, a lot of development as well. But that being said, it is a bit of a distance from the heart of Toronto. And that typically means that the infrastructure isn't quite up to standards when you're all the way out here.
So it'll be the 5 runs from the second over gets us to the end of over. 6 for none. See if we can get a look at the 2 starting 11s. The 2 debutants in play here for Canada. One of them just an ODI debutant, but one of them a debutant full stop ready for seeing the left arm wrist spin of Ansh Patel. Akhil Kumar coming into.
Tough time in the Netherlands, but more than capable when it comes to leading the side. He's one of the top batters in the side as well.
And then for Nepal, we'll get a look here. You can see the 4 players missing out from the 15. That's Mohammad Arif Sheikh, Arjun Saud. There is one that is a little bit unlucky, and we'll have to wait to see the left arm medium fast of Rijan Dakhal, whose cutters actually could have been quite effective on this surface. For Monty Desai, he's gone really with the tried and the trusted. And the big story, I suppose, from an ODI perspective, is the return of Sandeep Lamachane back available for action. He had a big impact, didn't he, coming in for the 2 games. Wasn't able to get into the USA for the first 2 matches, although the second one was washed out. And I thought the way he bowled against South Africa and Bangladesh was exceptional.
And as expected, he's got a lot of experience under his belt. He's played a lot of cricket around the world. In terms of franchise cricket, he's made an impact, certainly, especially coming from Nepal. And to get that recognition worldwide, you have to be really good at what you do to get that sort of recognition and that sort of opportunity.
In fairness, the pitch isn't maybe necessarily doing as much as we expected. There's a very green tinge to it. The ground staff, Melvin, the head curator here, was saying that he's tried to keep as much grass as possible across the whole square. This kind of being the real feature and focal point of the end of the summer, to keep the wickets together, potentially 4 pitches that we could use out there.
Yes, and as you mentioned, it is coming to the end of the summer. We are now about to enter into our fall season. So to be able to have cricket this late, and by the time the T20s finish following these ODIs, we're going to be well into October.
The weather, quite a few. Is this typical in Canada this time of the year?
Absolutely not. We are typically starting to see trees changing color already, the leaves starting to fall off. This is when we go into our pumpkin and cinnamon spice season.
Ah, there we are. Okay. Not a coffee man, but we'll have to see if we can get some kind of liquids delivered to us at some point. It's going to be hot today. Talking about 31 degrees being the highs. Nice to see the fans already in there. They're pretty kept quiet for the moment. There's no wickets yet for Nepal. This one pierces the infield now. Dipender Singh, the Tiger, hares after it, picks up quickly. One of the other big challenges here, Manali keeps it to a single. The outfield is not, it's not a bowling green, is it? It's quite undulated.
It is. But that being said, I think once the dew set up or sets, I think we are going to start to see a little bit of quickening of this outfield as well. I think there's definitely going to be some home ground advantage when it comes to the Canadians playing on the surface. A lot of them play in the local league here. And funny enough, Nepal have chosen to have a bowl first. But there were some discussions in the Canadian camp that they would have loved to have a bat first because they do know what the wickets are going to play like, despite the green tinge on there.
Yeah, I think it made a lot of sense for Nepal to have a bowl first, though. This one's jagged back in. Height is probably going to be the issue this time. And Aaron Johnson is smiling and indicating there's an inside edge as well. There were two noises played compared to the first shout that looked, well, very, very adjacent. I think this one looks like a fair decision. Again, we're on the wrong angle, just have a few camera issues. So we are trying to work through the challenges. Probably the right decision here.
Yeah, I think it looked a little high. Aaron Johnson's a tall man as well. But they know how important that wicket is. Because once he gets settled down, he can really take a game away from you.
And a few indications already, after one that kind of ran along the ground, that maybe this pitch is going to play a bit better than all of the pundits thought. End of the third, 7 for none. Get a quick look at the points table here. Manali, there's still the early kind of skirmishes, if you will, in this League 2. There is an update though, because USA have just beaten Namibia down in Windhoek pretty comfortably too, chasing down the 200 that they required. Canada, do they have a little bit of a false position in this table given that flying start that they had and the difficulties that they've endured since?
I want to say no. I do. But I do also have some faith in this Canadian side. I think they can turn things around, regardless of how things went for them in the Netherlands. I do believe that they are a strong side and they can come out and show their worth. I mean, it was a bit surprising for a lot of us here to see how they went in the Netherlands. We weren't expecting a 4-0 defeat. That being said, the series that we played against the US before the World Cup, that didn't quite go as well as they would have hoped either. We've gone through some changes in the side as in terms of players. We've seen some coaching changes as well. So I think they're just trying to find out what the new balance is going to be.
I think it's fair to say there's been some inconsistency. No doubt about that. As this edge squirts away to that sort of floating slip, almost a third slip. Cammy just building up a bit of a head of speed. Pupudiasanaike, for the moment, is certainly no longer the head coach. It's an interim position that Khurram Chauhan holds as the coach for the tour of the Netherlands and now this home series. And that was probably a surprise to many from outside of Canada. Pupudiasanaike's reign seemed to be a very good one.
Yes, he has been exceptional for Canada. I mean, he's been exceptional for the associate world everywhere that he's gone. So definitely thankful to him for all the amount of service that he's given to Canadian cricket in terms of bringing that ODI status back. And then our first ever appearance at a T20 World Cup. But Khurram Chauhan's been under his leadership for some time. The assistant coach, while Pupudiasanaike was the head coach, so he has seen a lot of that coaching style, a lot of some of the strategizing and the analysis.
Extravagant movement this time for Cammy, gets it going away from the right-hander. Dhaliwal is going to count himself lucky to be out there. Big LBW appeal in the first over. Good news is on Cantapur TV back in Nepal, we've got over 100,000 concurrent viewers already, so the action is successfully being broadcast back to Nepal. Namaste and a warm good evening to everyone there across Kathmandu and Pokhara, Bharatnagar, Bhairawa, way across Birgunj, the Terai region. Great to have you all along with us. Beats the indeed the fan code feed up too. Tell us a bit more about that GT20 then. That's obviously been something that's really helped the Canadian players' development. You're involved?
Yeah, Canadian players and associate cricketers, to be honest. We've had a lot of players showcased that come from the associate world in terms of Canada, the US, Scotland, Nepal as well. We had 3 players from Nepal featuring in that series.
Driven, but not with any particular conviction. Rohit Patel, the skipper, will do the fielding. Gets us to the end of the fourth. Just one run from Sampal Kami's Nepal Kami didn't, but it is. It's the end of the fourth. It's 8-0.
big part in today's game here, as expected at King City.
Probably looking at another maybe 30 or 40 minutes of technical issues. I think it's probably best we just be honest in terms of the challenges that we're having. We're having some really significant power and infrastructural issues right now from the venue here in King City. Hopefully some of you are still able to hear and see us. I think that some of it's not going to certain parts, but hopefully if you are enjoying the action, great to have you with us as Rajbanshi is clipped away for his first run. So it'll be a wicket and a run from his first over. 7 have been bowled. It is 14 for 1. So consecutive changes of bowling. We're going to see Karen KC have a change of ends. He'll come in there from the pavilion end of the ground. That was the wicket, really, wasn't it, that Nepal wanted to know how dangerous Aaron Johnson is.
So important to pick up that wicket and break that opening stand, because we know Aaron Johnson can be very dangerous once he's settled in. Navneet Dhaliwal, unlucky to have missed out in the Netherlands leg of the ODIs. He had a shoulder injury. Unfortunately, wasn't able to be a part of the GT20 either because of it.
Driven into the gap. It's the captain at backward point who does the fielding. That's an area of concern there just in front of him, isn't it? It's where there's a lot of the kind of club cricket at this venue is played. They lay a mat over that today, or how does that work?
Yeah, there is a matting that goes on there, gets nailed into the ground. And we've actually, where the stands are in this venue right now, we've moved into the second ground here. Moved over a little bit to the right. But never easy fielding there, especially if it takes an awkward bounce from there.
It's certainly somewhere that if I was fielding, you'd be aware of. You'd want to be cautious of the fact that if something's hit there, particularly in the air on a one bounce to you, you're really going to be putting the body on the line in terms of how it's going to react to that. And actually with this, I know you had some rain a few weeks ago, but with this kind of unseasonal hot weather, chance of that might dry out over the coming days and get more and more difficult and challenging. Something that I think all the teams will need to be aware of. Whereas as far left on the square as we can go, as you look now, as this one challenges the inside edge, and then the other potential pitches we can use, if we call this number 1, you'll have 2, 3 and 4 as you go to your right. Boundary dimensions, you're talking about down the ground here towards the pavilion, about 60 metres. The other end towards the north of the college end, it's about 57, and then square, it's a bit bigger, isn't it? Sort of 65, 67.
It's been an interesting summer here in terms of the rain. We haven't seen a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks, but we have seen some downpours before that. In fact, we've broken some records.
Really nicely bowled by Karen KC. Nepal have impressed me so far this morning. Feels like the climate's changing all over the world.
Shorter winters here. In fact, last year we'd lost out a couple of weeks from our skiing season. It was just too warm for the fake snow to stay around. And this year, in terms of the rain, we've broken some serious records. We've seen flooding around Toronto like we've never seen before. 100 millimeters of rain in 2 hours, something that's you wouldn't see in a whole month.
Where was that?
This was about a month ago now.
Yeah, that one has gone a little bit through the surface and just carried through. Probably a good lead by Dhaliwal. He was 2 off 25. Shows how difficult run scoring is going to be. I've just come from Delhi from that test match, or the test match that was supposed to be the first ever in Greater Noida. We had 1,200 millimeters of rain in 7 days. I thought that was a lot.
And I mean, they're just finishing monsoon season there, although they've received a lot of rain in India. Unfortunate for both sides there. Afghanistan were really hopeful to try and get that test match in.
Driven a little bit in the air, but squirts away across the outfield, and Nepal hunting in a pack out there. 3 fielders come together. Cut off the boundary, they'll pick up a couple. Pargat Singh looked really good at phases there in the Netherlands, but he's a player rich with potential, isn't he?
Yeah, a lot of them have the talent, a lot of them have the ability.
Do get to the end of the 8th over, 17 for 1. Just been that inconsistency though, isn't there?
It's the inconsistency, and that's what they need to try and improve, so we can come out having that confidence that you're going to get 100% and you're going to get form when it is very important. Again, these ODIs and this ranking is so important in the Cricket World Cup League 2 matches. Of course, a lot of games in that, but that does mean that you want to try and stick to the top 4. Takes you to an automatic qualifier.
So Rajbanshi into his 2nd. If you're wondering how brilliant the Nepal community is, Anil Kumar Saz just walked around the boundary. He sees that we've got no liquids here because we're just having a few day 1 challenges. He just tossed me a Gatorade. That's which is a Powerade, isn't it? The Coca-Cola sponsorship. As this goes down the ground, really well struck. And that's gone a long way, nearly over the retaining net. Well, what a start from Pargat Singh. Tossed up teasingly, he took the bait, smashes it for 6.
And that's their talent. That's the talent we were talking about earlier. More than capable with the bat. A bit of fight, and it did go a long way. It's a good thing we've got a net along that ground because there's a beautiful house just on the other side of it. Don't want to break any windows there. But that was a massive 6.
First maximum of the tour. Clever bowler Rajbanshi probably won't be able to hit him down the ground twice. Have you seen many hit over that net here in your time? The big hit.
We have seen some go over there. The ball's never quite come back though.
Ball into the surface this time, but mid-on was hanging back because of the maximum. So it's good batting from Pargat Singh. Takes the risk to get the big hits and then follows it up with a single. Yeah, you'd imagine that you'll usually get good reward there hitting straight once you 57 meters down to that shortest part of the ground, but that would have cleared, well, probably any boundary in the world.
Yeah, it's a shortish boundary. There isn't much wind in the air today either, so you're relying on the power off the bat. Didn't really matter for Pargat Singh on that one though.
I think we're probably going to have to get those scores corrected as well because there's a dot ball that we've missed after the maximum. And that is going to round out the over. We think it's 7 runs from it. The score is 24 for 1.
You want to make sure you're not leaving too much for your co-batter, your batting partner, because then you're going to put him under pressure as well with no runs coming on the board. He's got to try and push for those singles and doubles somewhere.
Just going to lose those graphics for a few moments. They're going to scamper a quick single. Now Powdle was in quickly. That might have been close with a direct hit. We don't have any square cameras in operation, so probably won't be able to tell you anymore. We don't have replays right now either. Just a reminder, if you are tuning in, you're joining us for the first time. Firstly, a very good morning. Welcome along to the Maple Leaf Cricket Club grounds here in King City. This is the first of 6 ODIs in ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2, supported by our friends at Dream 11 as always. We are having some technical challenges this morning. Some power and production and connectivity issues are and Nepal, who are returning to action for the first time since the T20 World Cup. They'll play 6 T20Is in 6 days. Going to be really good action, that including for Nepal fans a couple of games on the weekend. I think that's the first 2 of the T20s, the 28th and the 29th of September, which should be really well attended. This one is hooked away and going to be hooked away for 4. Short ball tested out by Karen Casey. Daniel finally finds something to cheer.
Got some good bat on that, and he'll be happy to have picked up a boundary. It's going to do wonders for his confidence as well. Always a good feeling to get that first boundary, especially when you're about 4 off of 29 deliveries. But the bowling's been tight from Nepal this morning. They have started well. They bowled strong lines. Of course, the introduction of spin, bringing on the first wicket.
Sort of a laconic style, doesn't he, Dhaliwal? A very simple technique, a narrow stance, but it's proved pretty obdurate for the moment, pretty effective. Andrew Leonard here alongside Manali Patel, former Canada Women's national team player, former captain.
Just for one game.
Just one game, but that's technically still former captain.
I will take it.
And we're going to be guiding you through all 6 of these ODIs, just the 2 of us, side by side throughout them, and then hopefully get you through all the T20s too. And hopefully with better conditions to come. We do have a few challenges on this first morning here in King City, and Canada won't be overly displeased with the power play. Just the 1 wicket from it. It's 29 for 1. So we're into the second power play, and the cheers you heard from the Nepal fans who've come up to King City on this Monday morning are because of the entrance of one of their very favourites, Sandeep Lamachani, his wrist spin into the attack. And he'll start out from North End bowling to Margat Singh, and immediately there is some turn on offer. Power play, Manali potentially honours even.
I do believe so, yes. 30 off 10 is not a bad start, and that too with just the 1 wicket for Canada. Nepal, on the other hand, have done well to limit those runs. I think the next few overs are going to be difficult with spin.
managed to find a way to, we won't be able to bring it to you on air, but we've managed to find a way to get a look back at that dismissal of Aaron Johnson, 1 wicket to fall in the power play. And it was a very marginal caught and bowled chance. I think with the one look that we've had here, probably has just carried, is it? Johnson didn't seem happy.
I think it looks out. It just looks like he might have grounded that ball, but I think the way he rolled out of that dive, it looked like he had full control of it and it was in his hand.
It was Canada and Nepal who are returning. A marvellous effort, you have to say. The athleticism that he's shown, particularly for someone who's known as one of the weaker fielders in the Nepal side. Lamachane gets a little too straight. Can be guilty of this sometimes, just goes hunting for wickets. But Cammy will keep it to just a single. But he came forward very swiftly, didn't he? It was a bit of a nothing shot from Aaron Johnson.
That might be what we heard them say earlier, where the ball does hold up a little bit as well.
Bit of a misread in the field will allow the single. Yeah, we're trying to get one more look here ourselves. I think it's probably the right decision. I think it has carried. I think it's actually an exceptional catch. Again, we only have one camera angle, and that is with those connection problems and challenges, so probably hard to say for certain. As a no ball is signalled, and it's going to be a free hit. It was a front foot no ball, it looks like. Lamachane none too pleased with that one. I wonder, was it a front foot no ball, or was it maybe the bails being knocked off non-striker's end? Either way, Dhaliwal has a freebie to have a real go at. And because they're into the second power play, 4 fielders laid out, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket all in place. And that's given us a wide, sharp turn and offer.
A no ball, free hit, and then a wide. So that's going to mean that this delivery here is also going to be a free hit. A few extras here to start for Sandeep Lamachane, but positive signs because there is a lot of turnout there.
There's also a question from Pargat Singh about whether or not there was enough fielders in the circle. There are. A real Monday morning feel to the start of this game, all sorts of issues. Free hit again, edged away, and it's going to be edged away surely for 4 because it's so short straight here. And Arif Sheikh cannot cut that off. He's on as a sub fielder. Karen KC may be the one who's off at the moment. And that no ball has proved very costly.
Unlucky for Sandeep Lamachane. Thick outside edge, and it's raced away to the boundary quite comfortably. Navneet Dhaliwal will be happy with that. It wasn't in most convincing fashion, but it's runs nonetheless.
It'll be a good start for Canada to this second power play. 10 runs have come from Lamachane's first over. 11 bowled, 39 for 1.
We're going to have a change in the bowling here. Gulshan Kumar Jha coming into the attack. Coming in from the pavilion end. So we're going to continue with the combination of pace and spin, working in tandem. Good strategy this from Nepal. Making sure the batters are constantly being put under some pressure, whether it being with some pace or whether it being in the form of turn.
Interesting call, this one. I didn't think we'd necessarily see a huge amount of Gulshan jab. Starts with a really loose one, barely pitching on the cut strip of grass. It's a wide by Rohan Shah. He's one of our two standing umpires from Canada. We're just going to continue to remind viewers that we're having some pretty significant production challenges here right now on the ground. We can only apologise for those. There are a number of people working on those, from the host, from our production crew as well. And all we can do is continue to give you the news as we have it, as best we can. Short and wide and cutaway, but protection is out there. Deep backward point, Kushal Malla does the fielding. The series itself, the 6 ODIs, 6 T20s, very, very important one, it feels like, given the respective early places of these three sides in Cricket World Cup League 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. Each and every game actually has a big effect. We saw the losses earlier for Canada drop them down a couple of places in those ODI rankings. Nepal coming into the scene in the ODIs after a bit of a break as well. Oman's not had the best of times in their previous ODIs. So this is an important one for all three, and no surprises that both Oman and Nepal came here earlier to try and get some warm-up games in. In fact, they've got some advantage knowing that they've played warm-ups at King City, not exactly on ground A, the one that we're on today, but they've been on the facility, and the warm-ups that they've played are in very similar conditions, so they're not going to be new to how these wickets are going to play.
I think you got to give Canada a bit of credit as well. I thought even Johnson, I know he'll be disappointed with his dismissal, but he was showing kind of, by his standards, quite a lot of grit and determination in terms of not taking on the aggressive option every ball. They're battling out there. They know it's not going to be a 300, 320 surface. So they're just trying to bat some time, and they're getting the reward as a consequence now.
It really is about spending time out in the middle at King City. You have to take the time, and you have to really understand that the runs are not going to be as free-flowing as you're expecting. Some home ground advantage there for Canada.
He attempts to leave, but ends up accidentally hitting it down to short third. It's a diving, sprawling effort. I think that's Arif Sheikh, who's still on the field as a subfielder. I believe it's Karen KC who's just off getting a bit of treatment. For Nepal, it probably just won't be delighted with after the really tight start from Cami and KC. They just won't be delighted about how the last 15 or 20 minutes have gone.
There's an incredible start with the ball. The few extras have just put a little bit of blemish on the incredible start that they've had. But that being said, they're still quite on top of this game, Nepal, with their bowling. And technical issues aside, looking at the positives, I mean, the venue looks a picture, and the weather is holding up. I know the last time you were here 2 years ago, you had to wear a toque. I remember that.
I forgot the word. I remember you used a word that I didn't know. I have it in the bag. I think it's the same one. A beanie. Beanie's the word that we use. Toque. End of the 12th. 43 for 1. 42 for 1 score.
You're a smart man to bring that toque back. You just know at King City, you never know how the weather's going to play out.
Yeah, I thought that that word was one I'd not heard before. This isn't an official drinks break if you're watching on. Yeah, I thought that that word was what I'd not heard before. This isn't an official drinks break. If you're watching on. Yeah, I thought that that word was what I'd not heard before. This isn't an official drinks break. If you're watching on. Yeah, I thought that that word was what I'd not heard before. This isn't an official drinks break. If you're watching on. Broken up anymore, and we won't attempt to. What matters is the decision was not out. Sharp turn and offer again. Nice leg break from Lamachani. Just the one run off his second. It's 43 for 1. So Gulshan Jap, he comes into his second over. The Nepal fans are certainly outnumbering the Canadian ones at the moment, and just starting to get into the contest now that we've crossed midday.
Nep.
challenges. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us your favourite things about cricket. Please. And we're trying to fix them. And that one has swung a long way, 2 wides to the total. Opposed to one extra given away, 2 wides to the total. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at Cricket Badge, or on Instagram as well, Andrew Leonard, and I've got Manali Patel alongside me. What's your platform of choice these days, Manali? Are you on the gram, or what's your go-to?
This is going to sound horrible, but I'm terrible on social media. But let's say Instagram. That will do.
What's the handle on there, Manali? Let's have a look. See if we can tell people where you're at.
You're not going to find it on that phone, Lenny.
Gotta have one of them.
No, I don't. Actually, my husband's been awesome. He's the one managing the account.
Okay, well, search for Manali Patel on Instagram.
615.
And only if you send her nice messages, okay? No mean messages allowed. But yeah, if you have, well, look, the first message comes in from Bishal Shah. Poor quality of broadcast, frustrating. We don't want those messages. We want nice messages. Nice messages. In terms of where you're watching from, hope you're enjoying the action. We know that. Glad to hear the feed's going out nicely to Canda there in Nepal. Great to have you alongside us. This one's cut away really nicely. Kushal Mala's going to have work to do in the deep. He does it pretty well because the outfield is bumpy. Keeps it to just a single. I think the ICC TV feed is now up, but again, we're working without internet and without power, so it's actually a pretty miraculous job from the team bringing you these pictures. We want to thank all of the boys trying their very best to get them back to where they should be, and they will hopefully be better. We thought it might be 30 or 40 minutes. It looks like it might take a little longer than that. We will keep you posted, and we'll try to describe the action as best we can as Canada moved to 46 for 1 in the 14th. Started pretty nicely actually on what we felt was going to be a difficult batting surface. Very green, really green square. A lot of grass left on the pitch. There's been a few that have gone up and down, but not a huge amount of sideways movement.
No, I mean, your reaction this morning when I met you was, that is a very green wicket out there.
Yep.
And it is, but it is playing in true King City fashion, where the green doesn't have as much of an effect as you'd expect, but it does have variable bounce, and it does spin a lot. So no surprise if we see a lot of spinners coming into the action today, and no surprise if they're part of the wicket takers.
Yeah, spin is going to be critical. As Gulshan Jah gets to the end of his second over, we're pushing towards that first drinks break, but not quite there yet. 14 bowled, 46 for 1. This is going to be one last over before the drinks break, as umpire from Bangladesh, Masadur Rahman, just making sure everything is set with the signage behind bowler's arm. Lamachani would love one before drinks. Ball seems to be coming out really nicely, doesn't it? Good drift and curve into the right-hander right now.
He's a good Nick Sandeep Lamachani. Up 3 wickets a couple of days ago at one of the warm-ups that they played against the HP Jaguars.
I think that's the googly out of the back of the hand, but Daliwal deals with it very nicely, punches it down the ground. For Nepal, is there a little bit of a case of maybe needing to kind of look to plan B a touch here? Plan A hasn't necessarily gone entirely their way.
I will be honest, I'm quite surprised that we've not seen spin on both ends. I was expecting potentially seeing spinners on both ends. We might just see that after the drinks break. But believe me when I say this, Canada's going to come out with a lot more spin than pace.
Would again have been a variation from Lamachane. I think that could have been either a little top spinner, maybe a googly. He does have a few different googlies, come out in different ways. And Lamachane probing away this time, just a narrow inside edge. Keeps Daliwell's wicket intact. He'll be actually looking to get to drinks now, won't he? There's 2 balls remain. That one is definitely a googly. Sharp turn. It comes up onto the right elbow of Pargat Singh.
Sitting on 15 off 29, Pargat Singh. Navneet Dhaliwal 18 off 45. Not been an easy time out there from the batting side, especially Navneet Dhaliwal. He's been very hesitant.
Well, the googly to finish out Lamachane's 3rd over. 15 have been bowled. It's time for a break here. For all the players, they're going to take a well-earned drink. We'll have a break here in the commentary box too. Canada, they probably edged the first session. Nepal have only been able to find the one breakthrough. It was that of Raj Banshi's first delivery. It means we get to the end of the 15th over. The score, it's 49 for 1. Welcome back to King City. We are broadcasting to you live here from Maple Leaf Cricket Club grounds. We're about 40 minutes outside of Toronto. Most perfect day for cricket, as Nepal are coming back into men's international action for the first time in 3 months in this, the first of 12 international matches of the Nepal, Canada and Oman Tri-Series. It's going to be exclusively hosted here in King City. Canada maybe edge the first session, moving the score to now 50 for 1 after 15 overs of that wide, and just the 1 wicket to fall, that of Aaron Johnson to that of Raj Banshi. Pitch that's got a very green tinge and a green look to it. It was actually played pretty well. And Rohit Paudel, who very understandably won the toss and decided to bowl first, is now searching a little bit. We've seen Sandeep Lamachani send down 3 wicketless overs after an expensive first. He's looked pretty good. And Raj Banshi, the only other bowler used alongside the 3 seamers, Gulshan Jack, Aaron Casey and Sampal Kami. If you're just joining us, we have to explain that we're experiencing some pretty significant technical and production issues right now. You will hopefully be able to see the feed, but not at the quality that we would like. That's due to some of those connectivity issues that we've already explained. Andrew Leonard here with you alongside Manali Patel, former Canadian Women's International. Manali, we have to apologise one final time about those production challenges we have. We hope that it will get better. But on the cricketing end of things, certainly Canada have been pretty impressive so far.
Yes, they've anchored. They've got another partnership going between Navneet Dhaliwal and Pargat Singh. Just the 1 wicket down after the first drinks break.
That's nicely bowled, squares him up, just the outside edge. Dhaliwal, who's been promoted back up the orders, is some pretty significant changes from that tour of the Netherlands where things were pretty tricky for Canadians.
Yeah, no surprises there that Navneet Dhaliwal has been part of the top order for quite some time for Canada. He has opened the bat as well. In fact, both Aaron Johnson and him had an opening partnership of over 100 runs against the MCC, who were touring Toronto, Canada all of last week. Played a game against MCC, first game against MCC, and they came out on top of that. So that's going to be another wide. It's a decent contest, and it was actually one of the first times that we've seen this summer in terms of an ODI or one-day format to see the Canadian batting lineup really fall into place. So some positive signs coming out of that series. A good time as well for MCC to tour. Acted as the perfect warm-up for Canada coming into this ODI series. And Nepal just starting to lose it a little bit here with the extras. Been fairly tight with their line and length. 7 wides bowled so far and 1 no ball. 8 extras in total. Grand scheme of things, it's not so much that extra run, it's the extra delivery that could go for more runs.
Folly driven, but one of the challenges here, the outfield, despite the good weather, it's not going to be particularly quick, is it? So he struck that quite nicely, but still isn't able to get it past Sampal Kami, a bit off. He fields very well.
A bit spongy around that square. You really do have to strike the ball. Time it well.
Protection out there, deep backward point position, very much in vogue these days. 2 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup, the 2 Tri-Series in action at the same time on the exact same days. That's the first time that's actually happened with the expansion now to 8 teams in this league. So the action this morning was in Windhoek down in beautiful Namibia. Really special place that, where Namibia's recent struggles have continued. Yannick Lofty back into the team after an interesting absence for him disciplinary reasons. He's missed that World Cup and missed the last 3 or 4 months. He did get a couple of runs, but no wickets as this is edged away for a single. But Namibia can only manage 199 despite Jan Freiling's 70 from 88 deliveries. And 199 was never really going to be enough against America's much vaunted batting lineup. 72 for Madank Patel, the captain, and 59 for young Saiteja Mukamala, who rightly is back in the ODI team. Couldn't believe he wasn't playing in the Netherlands. USA pick up a good win by 6 wickets. They look like they're a side who will definitely have their eyes on the top 4.
Yeah, this is a different US side. There's something in terms of the belief that they have that's so different and so powerful. They've certainly got the talent to back it up as well. A solid squad. I mean, they showcased so beautifully at the World Cup. 16 overs gone, 53 for 1.
So Lamachani's going to continue. Powdle using one of his key assets quite a lot, quite early here. Again, I know not usually the angle we'd be seeing the play from, but you get a sense, don't you, as to what the batter's seeing from this angle. Fascinating thing for me, just watch the drift as the ball comes out of the hand. More so when it's a leg break. That's not a leg break, that's a little flatter, quicker one. But everything forces into you, and then the natural stock delivery will turn away, bring that slip into play, bring the keeper into play, challenge the outside edge. He's a really skillful bowler.
It's very difficult from a batting perspective. Were you a good player of spin?
I like to think I was a good bowler of spin. I was a very bad... for a spinner, I probably wasn't a particularly good player of spin, but I wasn't a great batsman. Lower order runs at 7 and 8. Never made a century.
I always enjoyed batting at the top of the order. The pace is
You
good.
were an opener, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I never made a century. It's one of the only regrets.
I have also not made a century.
Is that right?
No, I have not.
86 for me, the highest score.
We didn't play a lot of 50 over games.
Mainly
T20s. Yeah, well, I played a fair share of 50 over games, considering the amount of cricket that we had back in the day, and then T20 came out of nowhere and replaced all that 50 over action. So
it's been the way, I think, across a lot of domestic leagues now. People feel like they're more time poor. I'm not sure if they actually are, they just think they are. And as a consequence, the shorter formats are being played more and more regularly. Now, this is beautifully bowled, and the umpire's finger goes up. He finally gets a decision going his way and gets the Nepal fans sparking into cheers of joy, elation. Not sure which delivery it was, whether it was the googly or the leg break. Again, we don't have the replays for the moment, but either way, finally the finger's gone up.
Right, Sandeep Lamachani as well, who gets the breakthrough. Canada lose their second 55 for 2 now after 16.5 deliveries, and it's Pargat Singh. He goes for 17 off 35 deliveries. And just when Canada looked like they were starting to build a partnership and get a base to be able to be a bit more attacking, they have lost another.
Almost an appeal from Lamachani, but then he realises it's off the inside edge. That'll get us to the end of the 19th. The score moves to 61 for 2. Kushal Malla into his second. So you can just see again there those continued issues that we're having. We're as frustrated as you are at home. Promise we can do all we can in the background, trying to pressure everything we can to make sure that we get the issues we're facing remedied and fixed up. And again, we don't have the quite quality camera that we would, quality of feed that we would like to give you either right now. With no power, we're on a backup generator right now, and no internet. We're literally on a cellular phone tethering to bring you these pictures. We are, well, quite rural here in King City, so it's pretty miraculous we're actually being able to bring you these pictures at all right now. Remedied as soon as possible, and we'll promise to keep you updated on that. Canada continuing to grind away here. It's going to be a grind. It's not going to be 320 plays 280 every one of these ODIs here. It's the reality of associate cricket. It's the reality of this league, as Lamachani feels swiftly. You're always going to be tested by different conditions, different circumstances, and it's a test of wills, isn't it? A test of character.
Test against some tight fielding. But Canada will feel comfortable knowing that Harsh Tucker is